Hello everybody, welcome back to another video here on Cobbler's Vlogs. It's time for another one of our favourite things I think we do on the channel since we started doing these a month or two ago. It's our opposition view where we're talking to an opposition fan. The Cobblers take on Shrewsbury Town on Saturday, no not Saturday, got that wrong, Friday afternoon, Good Friday, my birthday as well, so you know, a great way for that to be ruined. That's the first thing that I'm going to ask our guest in just a minute, whether it's Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury. We'll get to that. So welcome along to Martin Teabag Wall. We're going to get into all of that. First of all, lockdown, it's starting to ease. Restrictions are starting to ease. Have you managed to get out and about? Jake Tong's just commented here, lockdown trim is real. I know it's an absolute mess, isn't it? Look at it. I'm gonna be looking like this on my 18th birthday photo, and it's just going to be awful. So yeah, Martin, how are you doing? Are you enjoying the easing of restrictions, or have you not? Has it been pretty much the same for you?
I mean, I'm a key worker and I've been working from home, so it's actually been quite beneficial. Been able to watch a lot more football than what I'd normally be able to, and with me being in Scotland now and being in exile, it's quite nice to actually be able to watch the matches. Obviously, no fans and that there, but for me, it's at least being able to get a bit more watching my team live, than normal. So it's sad. It's good things, but yes, obviously you'd like to go on a proper away day and go and see the boys. But nah, just in general, it's been all right as well. It's not been too bad. It's just the routine, really, and that's the day-to-day stuff you normally do. It's changed.
Good stuff. So thank you to everybody that's joining us. Thank you to Martin for joining us as well, talking all about Shrewsbury Town and the Cobblers. If you're watching this back as a video, or if you're here with us live, thank you very much as well to you. Make sure you drop a massive thumbs up on the video for us. That sets off the YouTube algorithm, gets as many people watching as possible, which is always good. And if you haven't seen my face before, maybe you're a Shrewsbury fan, feel free to hit that big red subscribe button down below. As you know, on YouTube, it won't cost you a penny, and you get loads of awesome content like this. So let's get straight into it, Martin. Before we get onto the football, like I said, two things we need to clear up. First one is Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury, and the second one is we need the context behind the Teabag nickname, please.
Or as always, yeah. So I'm glad you got it right the first time. It's Shrewsbury. Depends where you come from and how old you are in Shrewsbury, but as far as I'm aware, if you call it Shrewsbury, you're looked at with the evil eye. So it's always known as Shrewsbury, not Shrewsbury. Yeah, it's got an E, not an O. Simple as that.
Yeah. And then the Teabag.
Yeah. So yeah, always gets a laugh. So when my wife first met me in Shrewsbury, she heard people shouting Teabag, and she goes, "Are they shouting at you, Teabag?" I'm like, I started to explain the story to her again, like. But yeah, basically 16 years old at the time, and it was at the old ground, and there's an old cafe behind in the stand. And anyway, this Teabag just hit me. Brand new white jacket, absolutely raging. So I decided to pick it up, and just in a rage, go and lob it at the front. So when you go and really give it your force to throw something as far as you can. Sort of had a few drinks in me, so it didn't really anticipate to go as far. Literally hit the guy in front of me, and he was bowled as well, so it was steaming off his head at this Teabag. And yeah, all the boys behind were singing Teabag, give us a song, and it's basically just stuck since then. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people are like that. That's some story you've cooked up there, but trust me, that is the story.
I absolutely love it.
Most people in Shrewsbury don't even know my name. They just know me as Teabag. So when I come down from Scotland, they're like, "Teabag, great to see you." No one knows my name hardly, unless it's my best pals. So yeah, it's quite funny. But it's just one of them things, like a Teabag, it literally just stuck.
So, I like it. It's one of them things, isn't it, with football? It's what football's all about, these kind of nicknames that kind of groups of fans give to each other. I mean, I've never been given one by anyone, but it sounds good, and a funny story to go alongside it as well. So now that's all out of the way, let's zoom in a little bit more onto this Saturday's game. We'll start a bit wider first before we go narrow onto the game. I want to start off with Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury's season so far. No, it's Shrewsbury. What am I doing? No,
Shrewsbury.
I'm really Shrewsbury. Right, okay, right, we'll get there. Shrewsbury. So your season so far, you obviously had a pretty poor start to the season. I just kind of went. I just remember that you were quite bad. I remember seeing tweets, a real frustration from fans. So I kind of just went, right, let's see where they were at the 10 game mark, and you were 22nd. You had 7 points from 10 games. It just went horribly wrong by the sounds of it at the start of the season. What went wrong at the start of the year?
Yeah, I mean, just to be fair to Sam Ricketts, give him his due. He had a good eye for a player, hence why the current team's actually not doing too bad. He was poached from Wrexham in his first proper job, and he was there for 6 months and got him near the top. So he was taken far too early, and I think the job was too big for him at the start. And it's sort of the season's sort of deteriorated from. He saved his first season, that was great. We had a good cup run, had another good cup run, but the cup runs were sort of keeping him in the job, I felt, and this was like the big season for him. It was like make or break. You sort of this season for you do well. That's it. You won the fans over a bit, but it just his tactics were terrible. He talked. He got rid of staff in the club, which he shouldn't have got rid of, really, which were key people. And he just sort of ruined all the hard work that Paul Hurst had done previous to that. I know. We had Askey in just before that, but all the hard work and that had been sort of undone eventually. And we were just terrible to watch. I mean, it was just the same old excuse. When managers are struggling, they'll literally blame anyone but themselves. And at one point, there was a tweet, there was a thing that he mentioned about fans need to get behind the team and start. And I just felt like that was a sort of final straw, because it's not as if we could get behind the team, and he was basically having a go at the fans as well. So he's sort of when you have a go at fans and start to criticise fans, that's when you're clutching at straws, and he wasn't getting the results at the end of the day. If he won a couple of the games, then it may have been different, but he wasn't getting the results, and it was definitely time for change.
Then obviously, Steve Cottrell came in and took over, and things seem to be going a lot better. You're currently sat 17th in the table. You've played 35, won 11, lost 11, and drawn 13. You've got 46 points. You're exactly 10 points clear of us, who are just one goal outside the relegation zone. So what's caused that? What is it that Cottrell's done to get you galvanised and to get you going and climbing up that table, sort of?
Well, because funnily enough, we say we've climbed up the table, but we've been stuck in 17th apart from one day since the first of January, and we're now into April. We've been stuck 17th since then. So I mean, the thing is, COVID's had a big effect on the season. So obviously we've got a few games in hand. So if we win a couple of them, we do jump up a few places. But since Cottrell's come in, the main thing is like I touched on just before, that Ricketts brought in some good players. Cottrell's just added a couple of quality key players to it to sort of basically add to what we already had. So I mean, his experience in just basically, I don't know. I just think it's down to experience, really, is what I can put on. I mean, you look at what Cottrell's done in the game and the promotions he's had. I mean, look what he did at Bristol City when they were in at Bristol City were in a similar position to us pretty much when he took them over, and then 18 months later he got the double with the league and the whatever trophy you call it now, the pizza trophy.
The pizza trophy.
Yeah, so next year it'll be probably the Mackie D's one, but he won the double and he basically galvanised the club there. So I mean, and let's be fair, like a lot of fans probably have heard through the media, but with him having COVID and that since the last 4 months, and he's been in hospital twice. Aaron Wilbraham, his assistant, and Longwell, as well, the coach, have been doing a lot of the groundwork, and taking the instructions from him, and so credit goes to them too as much as Cottrell. It's a team effort. And I think that's the difference. Is Cottrell's got his staff working as a team as well. The players know what they need to do and that, and it's just gelling together. Like, and it's you get that bounce back of a new manager sometimes, and it works, and like sometimes it doesn't. You look at Bristol Rovers, doesn't really work for them with Joey Barton, which is great because kind of stand the guy. But yeah, no, I mean you get that sometimes, don't you, with teams? And I think it's just a mixture of belief. We've always been a team that's been defensively good, but as our goals, we don't score enough, and that's our problem at the minute.
So Cottrell obviously is at a tough time himself personally in kind of the last couple of months, and he's probably relieved to see that you're 10 points outside the relegation zone. I want to see what you think about whether or not you think you're safe or not. With not too many games to go, and I think Cottrell will be quite relieved that you're 10 points outside the relegation zone. Looking at your running, there's some very tricky fixtures in there. Just looking, you've got Plymouth, you've got Gillingham, Oxford, Doncaster, all really good teams. You play Lincoln as well, who have kind of fallen away a little bit recently. You play Oxford again, Ipswich, and then you go to Crewe on the final day. So if you were having to fight a relegation battle, it's a tough run, similar to what we've got. Are you pretty confident that you're going to stay up now?
Oh yeah, I'm not. I don't mean the only way. I mean, it was last week's win at Burton Albion which done it, because we were 12 points clear at that point. And yeah, I know we've dropped a couple of points since then, but when Cottrell come in, we looked like we were going down. If Cottrell saved, it was great, and if it didn't, it wasn't. It was one of them where if we stay up, we stay up. We don't. We were sort of really worried at that point. And the reason why who did we have? We had Accrington at home, who at the time were right up there. And then we had Hull away, Lincoln away, Doncaster away, and then Blackpool at home. And then I think we had Wigan in between that. So you're looking at that point of the season, thinking, right, we're going to try and get a win at Wigan and take something out of the home, out the away game if possible. But at that point, all them three were flying, and we went to every game at Hull, Donny, and Lincoln, and won 1-0 in the away games. And that epitomised the team at that point of where we were to where we were a month before. And going on, you're saying about the tough fixtures. I agree. The fixtures are tough, but it works in our favour to play the tough teams. Now I know we lost to Pompey at the weekend, and they had the new manager. I think we were just a bit knackered after the effort we put in against Burton. But yeah, I would be more worried if we were playing teams near the bottom, because that's been our downfall, not just this season, but in previous seasons. Even the season when we finished third, we were struggling to beat the teams near the bottom of the table. I think we even played you away at one point, and we that was a sort of winnable game, and we drew. No disrespect to yourselves, but you always do that when you're in the table, don't you? Whatever division you're in, you look at the games you think you can win, like teams near the bottom, you think, right, that's a winnable game. But yeah, we're only 4 points off 50 points, and I kind of see us going down. So I can see us getting another 10 points anyway, at least this season. So
no, it's really interesting because you say that you struggle against the teams lower down in the division, and that's something that obviously is a team that is a lot lower down, you could say, in terms of us, is that we've struggled against teams like yourselves. We struggled against FC Wimbledon on Saturday, who are down there in that fight with us. Burton, Wigan, we've all lost to since the turn of the calendar year. And it's really interesting to see that you do better against the big clubs, because so do we, and that could be really interesting to see how this Friday's game pans out. I want to take you back to right to the start of the season, back to September. We obviously played you on the second round of fixtures in the season, and it was a win by 2-1 for us. A couple of things on that one. The first one is, were you actually there? I know you're up in Scotland now, so that would have been the case, but that was obviously one of the test events. So were you actually at the game in person? And what did you make of the Cobblers in that game as well?
No, I wasn't there, obvious reasons, but I was there watching it. Obviously, it would have been a test match. It was, the pilot for the. We were lucky to have some fans in at that point, and it was good. I mean, I don't know if you watched it yourself, but I thought it was well manned, and the Shrewsbury, they're always good when it comes to stuff like that, and they did really well. And it was great to see fans at a game. In terms of the game itself, it was a shame about the result, but I actually thought that day there wasn't really much in it between the both of us. I think a draw would have been a fair result. If I remember rightly, your winner came with a slight mistake from our goalkeeper and our right back at the time, and that just typified our early start to the season, giving away silly goals. And we went to Portsmouth first day of the season, drew 0-0, and then Northampton. You look at it on paper, regardless of form, any time of the season, and you look at that as a winnable game, Northampton at home, and you'd probably be the same. You'd probably look at Shrewsbury thinking, right, that's a game we could probably win. And that's no disrespect to either team. That's just how fans do. I'm sure even players and managers secretly probably look at that and think that's a winnable game as well. They're not going to admit that, but that's just. But yeah, no, I think you played all right, and you definitely deserved, something from the game. The thing is, I think we weren't creating enough of that time of the season, so it was just one of them. But because it's so early in the season, you're not really too concerned as well. And obviously for the away team, it's good to get an away result. So I'm sure you guys would have been pleased at that point.
It's certainly not a game that defined either of our seasons or will define either of the seasons. But I just think for us, it was probably a much bigger game because obviously the first game of the season we'd drawn 2-2. The second game of the season away at Shrewsbury, you see that as like you said, a winnable game for us. And obviously, as a newly promoted team, to get that first win of the season, to know that you can pick up points at this level, is brilliant. And it put us up to. I'm looking here at the table. Where the hell are we? 7th. There we go. I'm not used to looking that high up. we were in 7th after 2 games of the season. Yeah, so we were just looking really confident after that game, and looking at the stats. I mean, I can remember the goals. I can't remember much else about the game. It seems to be pretty much the same as all of our games this season. You had 69% of the ball. That often happens when we play against anybody really. 5 shots on target each. You had 19 shots. We had 11. So it sounded like it was a fairly even game. Let's talk about more recent times. Last time out, you obviously lost to Portsmouth. Before that, you beat Burton, and then before that, you drew to Hull City. What's your recent form been like? How are you playing at the minute?
Yeah, we're playing all right. We've changed our formation as well, which helps to 3 at the back, and I mean, we've always been solid, and I think that's the main thing. I mean, Burton Albion were on a real good run of form. I think they had a defeat to MK Dons the few days before they played us, but other than that, I think they'd won something ridiculous, like 8 out of 11 or something like that. Because Burton Albion were bottom at one point, like us. So we were going into that game, and I was thinking, like, we'll take a point there, like that'll be a decent result. And straight away, like we were up against it. But the most pleasing aspect about that game was how solid we were. Usually, when you watch your team play, and like we broke and got the 2 goals, and then we conceded straight after, and I thought that's just typical of us. But then after that, I mean, usually I always think, going into the last 5 minutes, we're going to concede it, and you sort of you don't want to watch. You're looking through your fingers watching it sometimes, but I just felt so confident, and I think that's just because of how solid we've been in games. We've been able to see games out, and playing teams that are on form, whether it be teams that are near the bottom and around us or at the top. We're not afraid to take them on. Hence why, we're unlucky. We should have got a win at Charlton, denied late on there. Hull City, we beat them away, and then obviously at home took the lead, and then one of our players came back to haunt us, and that's just typical. I don't know if it ever happens to you, but I've lost the amount of times ex-players scores against us. It's unreal. It's like, I just feel like I always look at the opposition and think, right, is there an ex-player in there that's going to score against us today? But I don't think there's any in your squad at the minute that will, so that's a good thing.
And the thing about ex-players is they always seem to score against you, but then when you play a team that you have an ex-player of, if that kind of makes sense, who's playing for you, they never seem to score for you against them, which is really strange. So if we take Aaron Pierre, for example, we'll probably think he's going to score against us, whereas he probably just won't score against us or won't do anything. Let's talk about Aaron Pierre, because obviously he was a big favourite at the Cobblers. Obviously, you may have known that at the end of last season we had Charlie Goode in our ranks, who was really highly rated and ended up at Brentford in the Championship. And I would say he's better than Pierre, but Pierre was kind of rated on a similar level in terms of how much he was loved by the fans and all that kind of stuff. And Charlie Goode left last summer, went to Brentford, and you go, yeah, he's gone to a Championship team, fair enough. Aaron Pierre, we were in League Two, obviously, when we had him. You guys were still in League One. And then he left, and we were kind of like, Shrewsbury? Of anywhere, Shrewsbury. Of anywhere, Shrewsbury. Why we go to there? We kind of see, no disrespect, but, similar sized clubs, both of us see each other as a winnable game. We were kind of like, of all the places you could have gone, why there? So talk to us about Aaron Pierre. How's he done? Obviously, he scored against Liverpool last year in that. He scored some kind of FA Cup heroic goal, didn't
he? It was the game that got us to play Liverpool.
That was it, yeah.
If any of you haven't seen it, have a look at it. I'm sure you Cobblers will know he's got a good strike on him. He can hit the ball anyway. Well, it's one of them where you sort of, as a defender, if it was a midfielder hitting it, you'd think fair dues, but he hit it from 25 yards out and latched onto it, and it just last minute. And it's one of them, isn't it, where you sort of, you hit it right, it goes in. If you don't, it goes over the stadium. Well, it would in yours anyway, because yours is quite low.
And one of the sides isn't finished.
Yeah, I was going to say one of them is so low, but no, he's one of my favourites. And he's just, I think he's one of them players that, when you get a player that, like you say, he's not probably as better as some of the young ones coming through or whatever, but you always get a player that can go to maybe 5 or 6 clubs in his career, and you ask them fans what that player was like, and he'd be a fan's favourite at all of them clubs at one point. And I think that's the same with Pierre. He's one of them players that just sort of galvanises the club when maybe they're not at their best. And he's just a solid player. I always remember Pierre being very solid anyway whenever we played him, and I always remember seeing his name pop up quite a few times, and I think he scored a few for you. And obviously he does the same for us. He's been out for a good couple of months now, but I think he's meant to be fit for this Friday. Funnily enough, he's been in training and whatnot. The thing is, though, I wouldn't actually put him in on the starting lineup, even though he's better than he's probably one of the better defenders at the club. I think form-wise, they should stick with the 3 that are playing at the minute, because it'd be unfair to dislodge him. But I think he'll be on the bench anyway for Saturday. But yeah, no, he's I think he's our 3rd top goal scorer this season, and I think last season he was amongst the top goal scorers, and we don't score many, so it just goes to show how key of a player he is. I remember one game this season, and it was Swindon at home, and we drew 3 each, and it was typical. We were like 2-0 up and 3-0 down. And no, it wasn't that one. Sorry, he scored in that one. But sorry, it was the one against Accrington at home, and it was the first game under Cottrell, and we went 1-0 down, and the heads were down straight away still, and then all of a sudden we got a corner, and straight away he was in there, bullet header, and you could just see him getting the players together. Sort of, he's just got that leadership and that communication, and he had a bit of bad form, and I think that was just down to his confidence because of the team. I think when the team's playing poorly at times and everyone's affected, he suffers more than most, and you see that because he's a key player when you're playing well. When you're not playing so well, you see you notice him more than others. Maybe I don't know if you can relate to that in some ways from but no, he's a great player, and it's a joy to have. I mean, he's been linked. He's out of contract in the summer, so if you want him you won't be having him. No, but he's been tipped to. He was the transfer room. I think he's actually. Am I right? I'm sure he's out of contract. Yeah, he is. It's Birmingham City are looking at him, and Swansea as well. So, I mean, I know it's just transfer rumours, but to be linked with clubs like that just goes to show that, you know, he's got a bit about him as well. So,
yeah, it's really good to hear that. Obviously, like I said, we were just kind of a bit like, oh, you know, why has he gone there? We thought he'd be going a lot higher than Shrewsbury. So yeah, let's talk about some of your more dangerous players as well, especially the forward ones. The one that I just looked at your website and just immediately was drawn to Sean Wally or Wally, or however you say his stupid name. Seems to be one of those players that you play against him and you absolutely hate him. You can't stand him. I remember you talked about a game when you were doing well in the league and you came to 6th, and I think he started a mass like confrontation or something, all because of him. Talk to us about Wally, and one of them players that, like I said, if he's playing against you, you can't stand him. If he's playing for you, you absolutely love him. Talk to us about Wally. Josh Vela was another name that I wrote down as well, and any other kind of danger men that we should be keeping an eye on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, Wally and Vela are two that I would highly would definitely was going to mention anyway. And you're right. I'll talk about them first, and I'll talk about a couple of others that not mentioned now. So Wally, I mean, see if you don't follow the team, you just have to look at his stats. So any fan in League One just looks at his stats, and I mean, we don't score many, like I say, but when we do score, he's in amongst the goals, whether it's assists or goals itself. And I mean, I think if I'm right in saying, I'm sure he's got 6 league goals and 6 assists this season, which is not bad considering he's been a bit part player of the team recently. But he just seems to have that knack of scoring crucial goals as well, not just any goal. It's see when you're needing a goal. I mean, I think he scored the equaliser against you as well in the home game, and he took it well. He's one of them players where he can play either side. He can play left, he can play right, he can play through the middle. So as a defender, you sort of, unless you know the player, you're going to struggle at times to work out what he can do. His weakest point is he kind of cross. He's not the best, believe it or not. 6 assists, yet he kind of cross it. He's at times, but I think it's more like you said. You get those players in the teams that you sometimes think they shouldn't really be in that team, but it's the effort they put in. Sometimes you need that player that puts in that 110%, the extra bit of effort, and he'll sort of work and work and work and run himself into the ground. And they may not be technically as gifted as some of the other players on the pitch, but you need them sort of players to make those runs, chase back the ball, and basically sort of pressure the opposition when, because you never see that enough games sometimes, especially in the top leagues. You never see the high press, I don't think, as much as you'd like to see. And, and I think they always say defend from the front, and I think that's what he does well. Like I say, we defend well. The only thing we don't do is we just don't support our main man enough. We've let too many strikers through the years go, and then they'll go and score goals elsewhere, and it's so frustrating. But that's just the Shrewsbury way. I don't think we'll have it any other way. So.
Good stuff. And then just very quickly, Josh Vela as well. Just talk to us about him as well, and maybe one or two others.
Yeah, Josh Vela, very, very impressive player. Probably would surprisingly go down as our player of the year so far this year. Absolutely incredible player. With me living in Scotland, so I follow my local team, Kilmarnock, and he was actually playing for Hibs first part of last season, and oh my god, he had an absolute stinker. I remember him from my time at Bolton. I thought he was not a bad player, and he got so much stick from the Hibs fans. Anyway, he got released, and then we signed him, and I thought, because I remember how bad he was, and he wasn't really that impressive. I think he was just fitness wise wasn't there, and then start of this season, he just looked too rash going into challenges. I mean, there was one game against Peterborough. While Ricketts was in, we got stuffed 5-1, and he went in for a ridiculous challenge right on half time when we were 2-1 down. Got straight red, deservedly so, and that was it. But then since Cottrell's come in, and since that game, really, he's been, I don't know, something's just clicked, and he's just Mr. Consistent. You get them players as well in the teams that you don't really notice. They just you think they bypass the game and they're not doing anything, but they're basically the clog in the middle, allowing the players to get forward while they do the dirty work. And he's in both boxes. And I mean, I think he scored recently a very good, well composed finish away at Rochdale as well, to show that he's got the ability to pop up with a goal as well. But no, he links the defence and the midfield into attack really well, and he's just, like I say, been consistent. And I think he would be a bigger loss than maybe one of our creative players, if we were to miss him. So
awesome. So let's get your final thoughts on the game. We've got a question from Jake, which is kind of more of a general question that we'll get to in just a minute. But this Friday afternoon, are Shrewsbury Town going to beat the Cobblers and make my birthday absolutely rubbish? What do you think? Give us a score prediction.
So I was looking at the fixtures before this one when we played you, and I think the last three have ended 1 each. The last time we beat you was a 7-2 win. That was a while back.
Don't remind me about that though.
I had to remind you.
I must have been about 7.
Yeah, the reason why I mentioned that was because it was on one of the during lockdown we put a load of games up live on the YouTube channel. And that was one of the classics that came up. But I forgot how funny that game was, because I think it was only like 3-1 or 4-1. No, 3-1 with like 82 minutes gone, and then it just went absolutely mental. Like, and I was like, because I was watching it thinking, like, was this the 7-2 game? No. So
have they put the right game out? Yeah.
Yeah, so because of the last three have ended 1-1, and because it's one of them games where I've looked at your recent home results, and on paper I'd think that's a winnable game, but I don't know. Just Shrewsbury don't tend to get the results we want against the teams in the lower half. You've picked up great wins in home games recently against Pompey and Oxford, very impressive wins, by the way, which means that you've got something about your team. So I wouldn't be surprised if we lost it. Would not be surprised at all. But I just think I'm just going to stick my neck out for a boring 0-0. I know that sounds bad, but I don't see there being many goals at all. I think Northampton will be scrapping for every point. We don't desperately need the points. I just think our attacking threat isn't there at times, and this will be one of those games where it's we'll take the point and move on.
Fair enough. I think that's a fair assumption to make as well. We by the looks of it, we're definitely not. We're the lowest scorers in the division, I think, overall. You guys, obviously, like you say, you've not scored too much. I've just pulled up the record while you were talking there. Since our first ever meeting in 1951, we've beaten you 21 times. There's been 11 draws and 22 wins for yourselves. So it's very tight, the record. But Cobblers fans, here is some hope for you. Obviously, the last time we lost to Shrewsbury was in 2017, but we've lost to them once in the last 10 years. So obviously the 7-2, then we drew, 1-1, drew, lost, drew, 1. So one loss in the last 8 meetings in the last 10 years. So that should give some confidence. And I think that 1-0 loss was August 2017. So that was at the start of the new season as well.
And that was the year that we got to Wembley, and that came in the last minute, that win. That win came in the last minute. So
something like that on Friday would do us very nicely. It's a last minute win for us, obviously. The last thing I want to get to is Jake's asked us a question here. Jake Tommy, the Lincoln fan, a good friend of mine, says, do you think games are going to get called off willy-nilly because of COVID, or do you think there has to be some? Do you think there is, or do you know if there is some kind of EFL procedure in place? Because at the moment, teams seem to be getting cases and not having games called off, or teams get cases and have games called off, and the case numbers are completely different. What are your thoughts on that? Has your season been affected, apart from Steve Cottrell, in terms of the players? Has your season been affected by that at all?
Yeah, you'll see from the table itself that we've only played 35 games, which is a equal lowest along with Blackpool. We had a really bad spell, and you probably see the FA Cup game was obviously cancelled and replayed, and the Premier League were kicking a stink up about that at some point. That's just typical of the Premier League. Look after their own, don't bother about the EFL. But no, I think yeah, it's going to be tight because, like, I think there was a case with Rotherham in the Championship, and they've still to fit a fixture in yet, and it's against Coventry, so it's a relegation sort of battle as well.
Yeah.
It may not suit Coventry to put it where they want it, well, where Rotherham want it. So yeah, if you're looking at the fixtures at the minute, there's still quite a lot of fixtures play. You mentioned we've got Oxford twice. We've not even played them yet this season. You know, that's so it's weird, really. I think it's just sort of they've just sort of gone along. I think they've just tried to deal with it on a case by case basis, but I sometimes think it hasn't been dealt with fairly.
Yeah.
There has been times where I don't think the rules are set out right. I don't think they even know themselves what they're doing at times. I think.
Well, Jake says here that obviously he's a Lincoln fan, so you know, the top of the League One games that are shown on TV are your top of the league clashes. So Lincoln have been on a couple of times, and you know their game on Sky was forced to go ahead, even though they had cases, and it does seem very bizarre, doesn't it?
Yeah, that first sort of sentence there, Sky, sums it all up. It's all about the money for Sky. It's all about them getting what they can. You know, they don't want to upset anyone. It's it's rubbish for the clubs because the clubs suffer. You know, we suffer as fans as well. And it doesn't even for before lockdown and COVID, you would always find that these ridiculous games will get moved to ridiculous times to fit TV. So, like, for instance, Carlisle would be maybe forced to play a game on Sky down south on a Friday night or a Monday morning or whatever. You know, something ridiculous like that at last minute, and it just I mean, it is a bit rubbish. And if Lincoln have had 2 or 3, that is can sympathise with them. You know, it's just a monopoly of TV now. Gone are the days of having all your games on a Saturday, like throughout the whole league. You get games. I mean, it is good at the minute because you get to see, as a neutral, like, you get to see all these games every night, and the wife's annoyed. She's like, "You're watching another game tonight?" But as a fan for that club, it can be very frustrating, and I can appreciate that most definitely, especially if I'm traveling. So, I'm sure there's fans in other clubs that would make the effort to go and travel last minute, and then it gets cancelled. You know, from far. You know, it is frustrating, and the fans are the ones that suffer the most because, you know, they don't get the big wages, so they're having to earn the hard-earned cash on transport, accommodation when they can go to games and that. So yes.
And I remember we played Sheffield United a couple of seasons ago, and they had to beat us to be promoted into the Championship, and they did. And I just remember walking up the hill after the game, back towards the car park, and Sheffield United fans celebrating. And my dad just went to me, "You won't be celebrating next year when you've got these ridiculous Saturday 5:30 kickoffs, you know, Saturday 12 o'clock kickoff, Sunday afternoon kickoff." So yeah, it is kind of all about TV now, and football is, you know, it's a shame, but it is a business, and I think that's the reality of it. I think we could make a whole nother video talking about you know, football and finance and how fans are treated. But the way fans are treated does bring me on to talking about our partners, FanHub. If you haven't downloaded the FanHub app yet, they're aiming to reward football fans for their loyalty. So obviously we're one of the content partners of FanHub. So make sure you do go and download the app as well. Keep an eye on our Twitter pages because there's like an 800 plus queue to get on the app at the minute. So we'll be putting out some golden ticket codes for you Cobblers fans to skip the queue. So, Martin, thank you very, very much for coming on. You've obviously got your Twitter page that you wanted to talk about. Just let us know where we can find you on Twitter and any other stuff that you do as well.
Yeah, so this Salopian Killy is obviously the main Twitter page, and it's the KillyShrewsBury.co.uk. I mean, if you want to get in touch, fellow League One fans as well, you know, do a Q&A, even a live chat as well, just to sort of it'd be great to get some contact with other fans. You know, thanks Matthew yourself. You know, you've it was good to have a chat, like you said to you earlier. Just to talk about football, it just feels normal, just like this. We all have our rivals and laughs and that, but I think the social media platform's good during lockdown. I've used it to create this website and something it's just a sort of nice wee hobby on the side, doing something about the club you love and all that. So no, it's good. So and keep up the good work yourself.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming on as well. Nice to have a nice fan to speak to as well, because on what's it going to be, Saturday or Sunday, I'm going to have to speak to a whole fan, and we know what they're all like. And then next weekend we're playing Peterborough, who as you know are our arch enemies, so I'm going to have to speak to one of them as well. So it's nice to have a nice fan on before those two. So yeah, thank you very much for coming on, Martin. And like I said, all Martin's links I will put in the description below. So if you're watching this back as a video, you can go and have a look at them there. They're probably not there yet. In fact, they're not yet, but they will. They will be there if I could actually speak. So yeah, thanks very much, Martin, for coming on. Hopefully we get a good game on Friday afternoon. Hopefully I get a win as well to celebrate the big 1-8 for me. So awesome. Thanks very much for coming on. If you're watching this back as a video, thank you very much. If you're watching this live, thank you very much. Jake Tong's been here, Adam Page, Jason Rodhouse, a couple of names I've seen pop up. Like I said, please make sure to hit that big thumbs up button. Don't forget as well, our Patreon supporters, a massive thank you to you guys for supporting us. We're Adam Page, Mike Fuller, Luke NTFC, Jason Rodhouse, Dan Wiseman, all signed up to our Patreon, and a couple of you are going to be receiving your very own Cobblers Vlogs mugs very, very soon. And Martin, this is the last question I'll give you, because the back of these mugs have a very important rule on them. They are for Bovril drinking only. Martin, are you a fan of Bovril? This could make or break you here.
Hey, see on my webpage, it's all about Bovril. I always ask a question: do you like a Bovril or a pie, or a pint? Like it's Bovril all the time. I tell you, up here. See if you could ever come up to Scotland and you want to visit a game, come to Kilmarnock, go and see Killy, get a proper Kilmarnock pie and a Bovril, and you're a winner.
Sounds awesome. Sounds like a good day out as well, when we can actually eventually travel that far. So yeah, like I said, thanks to our Patreon supporters. Those of you that are in the hospitality tier, you're going to be receiving one of your very own Cobblers Vlogs Bovril drinking only mugs. And like I said, the link to that, if you do want to sign up, will be in the description. So thanks very much again, Martin, for coming on. Thank you to everybody for watching. Hope you all stay safe. Take care as well. We've seen these ridiculous pictures of parks and stuff. So take care, look after where you live as well. This isn't going to be an environmental lesson. But yeah, stay safe, everyone. Thank you once again, Martin, for coming on. Please make sure you hit the like button. And until next time, we will see you all later. Bye-bye.